Hello, Mr. Detective listeners. Our brilliant detective Marcus Reid wishes you good viewing. Margaret Davis stood on the porch of a house she hadn't visited in 12 years. Her ex-husband answered the door, confusion crossing his face when he saw her. "Maggie, what are you doing here?" "I made a mistake, Tom, leaving you." "Leaving this house?" "Our life together. I want to come home." Tom stared at his ex-wife, who'd remarried 3 years ago, who had a different life now, a different family. "Maggie, you can't just—" "I know it's impossible, but I needed to say it, needed you to know." Margaret's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry for everything. For throwing away what we had, for not fighting harder, for choosing my career over us." 6 hours later, Margaret was found dead in her car 3 blocks from Tom's house. Suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning. On the passenger seat sat a photo of her and Tom from their wedding day. Marcus Reid reviewed the case file, something nagging at him. Margaret's current husband reported she'd been happy. No signs of depression, no indication she'd been thinking about her first marriage. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, she'd driven to her ex-husband's house, confessed regrets, and killed herself hours later. "It's not that unusual," Captain Chen said. "People hide suicidal ideation. Sometimes the decision to act creates a sense of peace. They tie up loose ends, say goodbye in their own way. Except Margaret didn't say goodbye. She said she wanted to come home, wanted to undo her divorce." Marcus pulled up Margaret's recent communications. No searches about Tom, no old photos viewed, no nostalgia. Then suddenly she's at his door talking about mistakes from over a decade ago. That's not gradual suicidal planning. That's something else. Like what? Like someone made her believe she could fix her biggest regret. Made her think she had a second chance. Marcus looked at Chen. What if this wasn't suicide? What if someone manipulated her into this state, then killed her? Chen was skeptical until the second case came in 3 days later. Robert Chen, no relation to the captain, found dead in his childhood home. The current owners reported he'd shown up that afternoon, begging to see his old bedroom. Said he needed to make things right. They'd let him inside, watched him spend an hour in the room, crying, talking to himself. Then he'd left. 6 hours later, they found him dead in the park across the street. Overdose. Robert's sister provided context. Their mother had died in that house 20 years ago. Robert had been away at college, had missed her final days, had carried guilt ever since. But according to his wife, he'd made peace with it years ago through therapy. Hadn't mentioned his mother in months. Then suddenly he was at the old house, acting like he could somehow change the past. Marcus stood in Robert's childhood bedroom, now a home office for the new owners. 6 hours before death, both victims acted on their biggest regrets, tried to fix past mistakes, then died shortly after. You think someone's targeting people with regrets? Manipulating them into confronting their past, then killing them? Chen looked around the room. How would they even do that? I don't know yet. But 2 cases following the same pattern in 1 week? That's not coincidence. Marcus checked the timeline. Both deaths occurred exactly 6 hours after the regret-driven behavior started. It's precise, controlled. Someone's orchestrating this. He pulled both victims' recent histories, looking for commonalities. Found one. Both had recently attended sessions at the Riverside Wellness Center, a facility offering various therapies: hypnosis, meditation, regression therapy. Marcus visited the center that afternoon. It occupied a renovated brownstone, all soft lighting and calming colors. The receptionist was friendly but professional. "How can I help you today?" "I'm investigating 2 deaths. Margaret Davis and Robert Chen. Both were clients here." The receptionist's smile faltered. "I heard about them, so tragic. But I'm not authorized to discuss client information without a warrant. I'm not asking for details, just confirmation they were here and which therapist they saw." After checking with management, the receptionist provided limited information. Both had attended regression therapy sessions with Dr. Nathan Cross, 6 sessions each, concluding 1 week before their deaths. Marcus pulled Dr. Cross's background. Licensed therapist specializing in past life regression and memory work. Clean record. Good reviews. Nothing suspicious except his therapeutic approach focused heavily on regret resolution, helping clients identify and process past mistakes. Dr. Cross agreed to meet that evening. His office was comfortable, designed to put clients at ease. Cross himself was in his 50s, calm demeanor, reassuring presence. "Margaret and Robert," Dr. Cross said after Marcus explained why he was there. I'm devastated. Both were making real progress. I had no idea they were suicidal. What kind of therapy did you provide? Regression work, helping clients access memories of significant regrets. The theory is that unresolved past choices create present suffering. By revisiting those moments therapeutically, we can process them, find closure. Dr. Cross pulled his files. Margaret regretted her divorce. Robert regretted missing his mother's death. We worked on acceptance, helping them understand they'd made the best choices possible with the information they had at the time. And then they both acted out those regrets physically. Went to the locations, tried to fix what couldn't be fixed. That's not what I suggested. My therapy encourages mental processing, not physical reenactment. If they took it that far, it was their choice, not my direction. Dr. Cross looked genuinely troubled. You think my therapy caused this? Pushed them toward suicide? I think someone used your therapy to identify vulnerable people with deep regrets, then manipulated them into acting on those regrets, then killed them exactly 6 hours later. Dr. Cross went pale. That's impossible. My sessions are confidential, private. No one has access to client information except me. What about recordings? Notes? Anything that could be accessed? I take handwritten notes. Keep them locked. No recordings. No digital files. Dr. Cross stood, walking to a filing cabinet. See, all physical. No way to hack or steal. Marcus examined the cabinet. Old-fashioned lock. No signs of tampering. But something felt wrong. How many clients are you currently treating for regret-related issues? Dr. Cross checked his schedule. 8 active clients working on past regrets. Why? Because if the pattern holds, some of them might be targeted next. I need their names. Dr. Cross hesitated, citing confidentiality, but Marcus pushed hard. Eventually, Cross provided a list under the condition Marcus would protect the information. 8 names. Marcus ran background checks immediately. That night, he got a call. Another death. Jennifer Walsh, 43, found dead in her college dormitory's parking lot. She'd attended her old school that afternoon, walked around campus, tried to find her ex-roommate from 20 years ago. Told several people she'd made terrible mistakes in college. Needed to apologize. Needed to make things right. 6 hours later, dead. Stabbing. Marcus checked the list Dr. Cross had provided. Jennifer Walsh was on it. She'd been in regression therapy working through regret about dropping out of college to care for her sick father. Had always wondered what her life would have been like if she'd stayed. 3 victims. 3 people in regression therapy. 3 deaths exactly 6 hours after acting on their biggest regrets. The pattern was undeniable. Marcus called the other 7 clients from Dr. Cross's list. Warned them about the danger. Told them not to act on any impulses to revisit their past. 5 answered and promised to be careful. 2 didn't answer. One of those 2 was David Park. Marcus got his address and drove there immediately. Found David's apartment door open. Inside, David was packing a bag frantically. David Park. David jumped. Who are you? Detective Marcus Reid, you're in danger. I need you to stop what you're doing and come with me. I can't. I have to go. I have to see her. I have to apologize. David's eyes were wild, desperate. It's been 10 years. 10 years since I hurt her, since I ruined everything. But I can fix it. I know I can. If I just explain, you can't fix the past. Whatever you think you need to do, it's not real. Someone's manipulating you. No one's manipulating me. This is my choice. My chance to make things right. David pushed past Marcus, running for the stairs. Marcus caught him. They struggled. David fought with surprising strength, fueled by manic determination. Marcus finally subdued him, cuffed him, called for backup. You don't understand, David sobbed. I can feel it, the need. The certainty that if I go to her now, right now, everything will be okay. That I'll have a second chance. Why won't you let me have it? Because 6 hours after you go to her, you'll be dead. Someone's killing people who act on their regrets. You're being set up. David stopped struggling. What? Marcus explained the pattern. 3 deaths, all in regression therapy. All acted on their regrets 6 hours before dying. David's face shifted from desperation to terror. Someone's inside my head, making me feel this need. This overwhelming compulsion to go back and fix things. David looked at his shaking hands. I haven't thought about Sarah in years. Then today, this morning, I woke up and all I could think about was her. About the night I betrayed her trust. About how I ruined her life. It consumed me. Every thought. Every breath. I have to go to her. Have to apologize. That's not natural. That's induced. Someone's activating your regret artificially. Marcus brought David into protective custody, put him in a holding cell for his own safety, then returned to Dr. Cross's office unannounced. Found Cross still there, late evening, reviewing files. How do you activate regrets? Marcus demanded. In your therapy. How do you make clients focus on specific past mistakes? Through guided meditation, hypnotic suggestion, memory prompts. It's all standard regression technique. Cross looked defensive. Why? Because someone's using those techniques to weaponize regrets. Making your clients obsess over their past mistakes, driving them to act on those regrets, then killing them exactly 6 hours later. Marcus grabbed Cross's files. Someone has access to your methods, your specific approaches, how you identify each client's core regret and bring it to conscious focus. That's impossible. I told you, someone's doing it. Either you have a leak in your practice or someone's learned your techniques well enough to replicate them. Marcus spread the files across Cross's desk. Walk me through how you work. Every step. Maybe we'll find where the vulnerability is. Over the next 2 hours, Dr. Cross explained his regression therapy protocol. How he used hypnotic induction to relax clients. How he guided them to specific memories. How he identified core regrets through careful questioning. How he helped them process those regrets through acceptance work. It was sophisticated, effective, and completely replicable by anyone with training. Could a former student or colleague use your methods? Cross thought. I've trained several therapists over the years, taught workshops on regression techniques. Any of them could theoretically do what I do. But why would they weaponize it? That's what I need to figure out. Marcus checked his watch. David Park has been in protective custody for 4 hours. If the pattern holds, he has 2 hours until the killing window. We need to solve this before then. But even as he said it, Marcus felt something shift. A strange pull toward his own past, toward his biggest regret, the patient he'd failed when he was still a therapist. The one who'd died by suicide despite Marcus's best efforts. The one whose death had driven Marcus out of therapy and into law enforcement. He hadn't thought about Amanda in years, had processed that guilt, had accepted he'd done everything possible. But suddenly now he felt an overwhelming need to go to her grave, to apologize, to explain, to make things right somehow. Marcus recognized the feeling. The same compulsion David had described, the same drive that had sent Margaret, Robert, and Jennifer to their deaths. Someone had gotten to him too. Activated his regret, given him a second chance he couldn't refuse, and somewhere a clock was ticking. 6 hours until someone tried to kill him. Marcus stood in the precinct bathroom, splashing cold water on his face, fighting the overwhelming urge to leave, to drive to Riverside Cemetery, to stand at Amanda's grave and finally say the words he'd never said. The apology, the explanation, the confession that he'd missed the signs, that he'd failed her. The compulsion was almost physical, a pressure in his chest, a need so intense it felt like drowning. He called Chen. I'm compromised. Someone's activated my regret. I need you to keep me here. Don't let me leave the building no matter what I say. Chen arrived within minutes, finding Marcus gripping the bathroom sink. What's happening? Same thing that happened to the victims. Someone triggered my deepest regret. Amanda, the patient I lost when I was a therapist. I need to go to her grave. The need is overwhelming. Artificial. But I can't stop it. Marcus looked at his reflection. I have 6 hours. Maybe less. Someone's going to try to kill me during that window. Then we lock you down. Full protection. No one gets near you. That's not enough. David Park is in custody, and I still feel the pull. The activation isn't proximity-based. It's already in my head. The only way to stop it is to figure out how it was done and reverse it. Marcus steadied himself. Call Dr. Cross, emergency session. I need him to walk me through regression therapy in reverse. Find out how someone planted this compulsion. Dr. Cross arrived 30 minutes later, setting up in an interrogation room converted to a makeshift therapy space. Marcus lay on a makeshift couch while Cross prepared. This is highly irregular and potentially dangerous. If someone has compromised your psychological state, then we need to find out how and undo it. Time's wasting. Marcus closed his eyes. Start the process. Cross began with standard hypnotic induction, relaxation techniques, breathing exercises, guiding Marcus into a receptive state. Then carefully, methodically, he worked backward through Marcus's recent memories. When did you first feel the urge to visit Amanda's grave? This evening. Around 8 p.m. Suddenly, out of nowhere. What were you doing at 8 p.m.? Interviewing you? In your office. We were discussing regression techniques. Marcus paused, something clicking. Wait, you had me sit in your client chair. The one you use for therapy sessions. And you were explaining how you induce clients into receptive states. I didn't perform any induction on you. We were just talking. Were we? Or did you embed suggestions while demonstrating your methods? Used your just talking as a cover for actual hypnotic work? Marcus's eyes opened. You activated my regret. You're the one killing your clients. Dr. Cross's expression shifted. The warm, reassuring therapist mask slipped. Behind it was something colder, more calculating. You're more perceptive than the others. Most didn't realize until the final moment. But yes, I activate the regrets. I give them their second chances. And then I take them away. Chen, who'd been observing from outside, burst in. Don't move, but Cross was calm. Made no attempt to flee. You can't stop what's already started. Detective Reid has approximately 4 hours left. The compulsion will intensify. He'll leave to visit the grave whether you want him to or not. And when he does, I'll be there, waiting, just like I waited for the others. Why? Marcus asked. Why give people hope just to kill them? Because hope is the cruelest thing you can give someone who's lost everything. Because second chances are lies, we tell ourselves. Because regret is meant to destroy us, not heal us. Cross's voice was bitter. My wife killed herself 5 years ago. Regret over leaving her first husband. She spent our entire marriage wishing she could go back. Undo her choice. Have a second chance with him. That regret ate her alive. Killed her more surely than any disease. So you're killing others who have regrets? That's your revenge? Not revenge. Mercy. I end their suffering quickly. Give them one moment of hope, the belief they can fix their mistakes, then remove them before reality crushes that hope. It's kinder than letting them live with regret for years like my wife did. Cross looked at Marcus. Amanda's death wasn't your fault. But you'll never truly believe that. The regret will always be there. So I'm offering you a gift. One moment of believing you can apologize, can explain, can make it right. Then peace. Wouldn't you prefer that to decades of wondering? No, I'd prefer to live with the regret and learn from it. Use it to be better. Help others. Marcus stood. Your mercy is just murder with a philosophy attached. Chen arrested Cross, but he went willingly. Almost eagerly. The activation is irreversible without the counter-suggestion key phrase. And I'm not giving it to you. Detective Reid will visit that grave. The compulsion will drive him there. And when he does, my associate will be waiting. Associate? Chen grabbed Cross. Who? Someone who understands. Someone who lost a loved one to regret. Someone who believes in my mission. Cross smiled. You have 4 hours to find them. Good luck. They locked Cross in, holding and debriefed. Marcus felt the compulsion growing stronger. The need to go to Amanda's grave becoming harder to resist. Like an itch he couldn't scratch. A hunger he couldn't feed. We need to figure out who Cross's associate is, Chen said. Check his phone records. Financial transactions. Known associates. While Chen's team worked that angle, Marcus focused on the counter-suggestion. Cross had mentioned a key phrase. Something that would break the hypnotic compulsion. Most hypnotic suggestions had backdoors built in. Phrases or triggers that undid the work. He reviewed everything Cross had said during their session, looking for patterns, embedded meanings, and found something odd. Cross had kept repeating a phrase. Second chances are lies we tell ourselves. Marcus tested it. Said the phrase aloud. Second chances are lies we tell ourselves. The compulsion eased slightly. Not gone, but manageable. He said it again. And again. Each repetition weakened the hold Cross's activation had on him. Not a complete cure, but enough to think clearly. Chen, I found the counter phrase. Have someone repeat it to David Park. See if it breaks his compulsion too. Within 20 minutes, David reported feeling clearer. The overwhelming need to see Sarah diminishing. The counter phrase worked, but that left the question of Cross's associate. Who was waiting at Amanda's grave? Who believed in Cross's twisted mercy-killing mission? Marcus pulled Cross's client list. Not just current clients, all former clients going back 5 years. Someone who'd been through regression therapy. Someone who'd worked through regret about losing a loved one. Someone who'd bonded with Cross over shared pain. One name stood out. Elizabeth Cross, Dr. Cross's daughter, listed as a client 3 years ago. Treated for regret about her mother's suicide. Wishing she'd intervened. Wishing she'd seen the signs. Marcus pulled Elizabeth's current information. Age 28. Worked as a pharmaceutical tech. Had access to drugs. Had the knowledge to make deaths look like suicide or accident. And had every reason to help her father. Elizabeth Cross is the associate. She's been killing her father's clients on his instruction. She's at the cemetery now. Chen mobilized units immediately. Riverside Cemetery was closed after dark, but that wouldn't stop Elizabeth. They found her car parked on a side road near the cemetery fence. She'd already gone inside. Marcus wanted to go in, wanted to confront her, but the compulsion was still there, pulling him toward Amanda's grave. If he went into that cemetery, even with backup, the psychological drive might override his caution, might walk him right into Elizabeth's trap. "We go in without you," Chen said. "You stay here, safe. Let us handle this. She'll run if she sees uniforms. She knows the cemetery layout. She's been planning this. You'll lose her in there." Marcus grabbed his jacket. "I need to go. Draw her out. Be the bait. That's exactly what Cross wants, what he's programmed you to do." "I know. But it's also the only way to catch her before she disappears and starts killing the other clients on her list." Marcus checked his weapon. "I'll keep saying the counter phrase. Keep my head clear. But I'm going in." Chen didn't like it, but agreed. They entered the cemetery with Marcus in the lead, Chen and 4 officers following at a distance. The cemetery was old, sprawling, full of trees and monuments that created shadows and hiding places. Marcus walked toward Amanda's grave. Located in the east section near an old oak tree. The compulsion pulled him forward, but the counter phrase kept it from overwhelming his judgment. Each step was a negotiation between psychological manipulation and conscious resistance. He reached Amanda's grave. Simple headstone, her name, dates, a quote about peace. Marcus knelt, and despite knowing he was being manipulated, felt genuine emotion, genuine regret. The compulsion had activated something real. "I'm sorry I didn't see the signs," he said quietly. "Sorry I wasn't enough to keep you here. Sorry I failed you." A voice behind him. "She can't hear you." "She's gone." "But the regret remains." Marcus turned. Elizabeth Cross stood 10 feet away, syringe in hand. Young woman with her father's eyes. Same calm certainty. Same belief she was offering mercy. "I'm not going to let you kill me," Marcus said. "You don't have a choice. The activation drives you here. Keeps you here. Even now you can't leave. Can't run. The need to stay at this grave is too strong." Elizabeth approached slowly. "My father gave you a gift. A moment of believing you could apologize. Could make peace. Most people never get that. They live with regret until it destroys them like it destroyed my mother. But you get closure, and then peace. Isn't that better? Your mother's regret wasn't her fault. She was depressed. Needed help. She needed a second chance, a way to go back and undo her mistakes. My father's trying to give people that. One perfect moment of hope before the end. That's kindness." Elizabeth raised the syringe. "Don't fight it. Let the mercy come." Marcus drew his weapon. "Drop the syringe. You won't shoot me. The compulsion won't let you. You're locked to this grave. Locked to Amanda. Even pulling the trigger feels like betraying her memory." Elizabeth smiled sadly. "My father's work is elegant. He finds your deepest vulnerability and makes it a cage." She was right. Marcus felt paralyzed. Not physically. The gun was steady in his hands, but psychologically. Leaving Amanda's grave even to save himself felt impossible. Like abandoning her again. Like proving he'd never cared. Elizabeth moved closer, syringe extended. "Second chances are lies we tell ourselves," Marcus said, forcing the words out, breaking the compulsion's hold. "Second chances are lies we tell ourselves. Second chances." The spell broke. Marcus moved, sidestepping Elizabeth's lunge, bringing her down. The syringe clattered away. Chen and the officers rushed in, securing Elizabeth, collecting evidence. But as they cuffed her, Elizabeth looked at Marcus. "You felt it, though. The pull, the need, the regret. Even breaking free didn't erase it. It's still there. Always will be. That's what my father understands. Regret is eternal. We just offer a way to end it." Marcus didn't respond because she was right. The compulsion was broken, but the regret remained. Amanda's death, his failure, the what-ifs and should-haves that therapy never fully resolved. Cross had weaponized it, but the regret itself was real, and that was the true horror. Not that Cross could activate regrets artificially, but that he'd found regrets that were already there, already festering, already destroying people from within. Back at the precinct, Cross was charged with multiple murders, Elizabeth with being an accessory. The other clients on Cross's list were warned and provided counterphrases. David Park was released from protective custody, but Marcus couldn't shake the feeling. The pull toward Amanda's grave, the need to apologize, the wish for a second chance. Cross's activation had faded, but the underlying regret hadn't. Maybe never would. Dr. Carr, who'd consulted on previous cases, stopped by. "I heard what happened. You okay?" "Define okay." Marcus closed the case file. Cross found a way to weaponize regret, to make it lethal. But the regret was already there. He just amplified something that already existed. That's true for all of us. We all carry regrets, things we wish we'd done differently. The question is whether we let them define us or learn to live with them. Dr. Carr sat. "Amanda's death wasn't your fault. You know that intellectually, but emotionally you still blame yourself. That's normal. That's grief. But it doesn't have to be a cage. Cross would say the only way out is death, that living with regret is too painful, that his mercy killings were kindness. Cross was wrong. Living with regret is hard, but it's also human. It means we cared, we tried. We're capable of recognizing our mistakes. That's not weakness. That's growth." Dr. Carr stood. "Don't let Cross's philosophy poison your ability to forgive yourself." Marcus nodded. But that night, alone in his apartment, he pulled out an old photo of Amanda, taken during one of their therapy sessions when she'd been having a good day. Smiling, hopeful, alive. He still wished he'd saved her. Still wished for a second chance, but maybe that was okay. Maybe regret was just love with nowhere to go. And maybe learning to live with it was the real second chance. The trial of Dr. Nathan Cross and his daughter Elizabeth began 2 months later. Media coverage was intense. The second chance killer case captivated public attention. People debated whether Cross's victims had truly wanted to revisit their pasts or been manipulated, whether his mercy killings were murder or a twisted form of euthanasia for the emotionally suffering. Marcus testified on day 3, described finding the victims, explained the pattern, detailed his own experience with Cross's activation technique. The defense attorney tried to undermine him, suggesting Marcus's own unresolved guilt made him biased, that he couldn't objectively evaluate whether Cross's methods had therapeutic value. "Detective Reid, you admit you still carry regret about your former patient's death. Doesn't that prove Dr. Cross's point, that some regrets are too powerful to live with? That offering release might be merciful?" Marcus held the attorney's gaze. "Amanda's death will always hurt, but living with that pain made me a better detective, made me more careful, more empathetic, more determined to save others. If Cross had killed me that night in the cemetery, none of the good I've done since Amanda died would exist. Pain isn't always something to eliminate. Sometimes it's something to learn from." The prosecution rested after 2 weeks. The defense called psychiatric experts who testified about the legitimate uses of regression therapy, about how accessing regrets could provide closure. They tried to paint Cross as a therapist whose methods were extreme but well-intentioned. Then came the surprise testimony. Tom Davis, Margaret's ex-husband, took the stand for the prosecution. "Margaret came to my door that afternoon, said she wanted to come home, that leaving me had been her biggest mistake." Tom's voice was thick with emotion. "But here's what Cross's defense won't tell you. Margaret and I had talked 6 months before her death. She called to thank me, said she'd finally made peace with our divorce, that she was happy in her new marriage, that she had no regrets about moving on. So when she showed up saying she wanted to undo everything, that wasn't Margaret. That was someone else, someone Cross put in her head." The testimony was devastating. Other victims' families followed with similar stories. Their loved ones had processed their regrets, had found peace. Then suddenly, after therapy with Cross, those regrets consumed them again. Cross hadn't activated existing pain. He'd created new pain from resolved wounds. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. Nathan Cross received 5 consecutive life sentences. Elizabeth Cross received 25 years as an accomplice. As Cross was led away, he looked at Marcus one final time. "You'll be back at Amanda's grave someday. The regret will pull you there, and you'll wish I'd given you the mercy. You'll understand then." Marcus didn't respond, but Cross's words haunted him. The case closed officially, but Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that something remained unfinished. He'd saved David Park, warned the other clients, stopped Cross and Elizabeth, but the 4 remaining clients from Cross's original list still carried their activated regrets. The counterphrase helped, but didn't eliminate the psychological damage Cross had done. Marcus visited each of them over the following weeks, checking in, offering support, making sure they had access to proper therapy. Most were managing, struggling but stable, except one. Michael Torres. He'd been on Cross's list, but Marcus hadn't been able to reach him during the investigation. Now Marcus discovered why. Michael had left town immediately after his last session with Cross, moved to another state, changed his phone number, disappeared. Marcus tracked him through old addresses and employment records, found him living in a small apartment 3 states away. When Marcus knocked, Michael answered but didn't seem surprised. I knew someone would come eventually. Figured it would be you. Michael let him in. The apartment was bare, temporary, like Michael hadn't committed to staying. Dr. Cross activated your regret. I'm here to help you manage it. I know what Cross did. I know about the counter phrase. I've been saying it every day. Second chances are lies we tell ourselves, over and over. But it doesn't change the fact that he was right. Michael sat heavily on a worn couch. My regret is real. My mistake was real. And no phrase erases that. What's your regret? Michael looked away. 10 years ago, my brother asked me to go hiking with him. I said no, told him I was too busy. He went alone. Had an accident on the trail, fell, died waiting for help that came too late. If I'd been there, he'd still be alive. That's not something therapy fixes. That's not something I can learn to live with. Marcus sat across from him. Cross tried to activate that regret. Make you revisit it. What did you do? I went to the trail, the spot where my brother died. I stood there for hours, waiting for something. Forgiveness, understanding, a sign. But nothing came. Just silence and the knowledge that I failed him. Michael's hands shook. Cross said I had 6 hours, that someone would come to grant me mercy. But no one showed. I waited, even wanted it, wanted someone to end the pain. But they never came. Marcus understood. Michael had been victim number 4, the one scheduled to die after Jennifer Walsh. But Cross and Elizabeth had been arrested before they could complete Michael's killing. He'd been activated but never resolved, left in psychological limbo. The activation is still active, Marcus realized. You're still under Cross's influence. You never got the counter phrase properly administered in a therapeutic setting. I've said the phrase hundreds of times. It doesn't work, because saying it alone isn't enough. Cross designed these activations with multiple layers. The phrase breaks the compulsion, but the underlying suggestion remains until properly deprogrammed. Marcus pulled out his phone. I'm calling Dr. Carr. She can do a proper reversal session. Help you actually process this instead of just suppressing it. But Michael shook his head. I don't want it reversed. I don't want to forget. My brother died because I wasn't there. I should carry that forever. It's what I deserve. That's Cross talking. Not you, is it? Or is Cross just saying what I already believed? You said it yourself during the trial. Pain can teach us, make us better. My pain is my reminder, my punishment. Why would I want to give that up? Marcus recognized the logic, the same twisted reasoning Cross had used. That regret was deserved. That carrying it was justice. That relief was weakness, and he saw how seductive it was. How easy to believe suffering was noble. Your brother wouldn't want you to suffer forever. You don't know what he'd want. He's dead, and I'm the reason. Michael stood. Thank you for checking on me, Detective. But I'm managing, in my own way. Marcus left his contact information and reported back to Chen. Michael Torres is still compromised. Cross's activation is deep. We need to keep monitoring him. Chen added Michael to a watch list. But 2 weeks later, Michael vanished again. His apartment was empty. No forwarding address, no employment records. Just gone. Marcus feared the worst. That Michael had finished what Cross started. That the regret had consumed him. But then, 6 months later, Marcus received a letter. Detective Reid, I'm writing to tell you I'm okay. After you visited, I did something I should have done years ago. I went to my brother's grave. Not because Cross programmed me to, but because I chose to. And I talked to him. Told him everything. The guilt, the regret, the pain. And then I forgave myself. Not because the pain went away, but because carrying it forever wouldn't bring him back. Cross was wrong. Second chances aren't lies. They're choices. I'm choosing to live differently, to honor my brother by being the person he believed I could be. Thank you for showing me that was possible. Michael, Marcus pinned the letter to his desk. A reminder that Cross's philosophy hadn't won. That people could carry regret without being destroyed by it. That second chances weren't about changing the past. They were about choosing a better future. But the case still wasn't completely over. 3 months later, Marcus got a call from the prison. Dr. Cross was dead. Suicide. He'd saved pills from the infirmary over weeks, taken them all at once. Left a note addressed to Marcus. Detective Reid, you were right. Living with regret is learning from it. I learned that too late. My wife's death wasn't about her regret over leaving her first husband. It was about my failure to help her process that regret properly. I blamed her pain when I should have blamed my inadequacy as her therapist. I created the second chance methodology to give others what I couldn't give her: relief. But relief through death isn't relief. It's surrender. I'm surrendering now, not because I can't live with my regret, but because I choose not to inflict more harm while trying to fix my mistakes. The protocol dies with me. Let it stay dead. N.C. Marcus read the note several times. Cross's final act was the opposite of his methodology. Not forcing others to confront their regrets, but taking responsibility for his own. Not offering false mercy, but genuine accountability. Elizabeth Cross was informed of her father's death. She was devastated, but also, Marcus learned through her lawyer, relieved. She'd been struggling with guilt over helping her father, over enabling his murders. Her father's death freed her from the obligation to defend his philosophy. The case truly ended then. Cross dead, Elizabeth serving time. The victims' families finding closure. The methodology buried, but Marcus still visited Amanda's grave occasionally. Not because Cross's activation pulled him there. Not because he believed he could change the past. But because remembering Amanda, the good and the bad, kept him grounded. Reminded him why he did this work. Why every case mattered. Why every victim deserved justice. One evening, Chen found him there. Thought I'd find you here. Just paying respects. Amanda would have liked this case. The psychology of it. The twisted logic. Would she have forgiven you for not saving her? Marcus considered. I don't know. But I think she'd want me to forgive myself. To stop seeing her death as my failure and start seeing it as a tragedy I tried to prevent. There's a difference. Cross couldn't see that difference. Thought all regret was failure. All failure deserved punishment. He was wrong. Regret is just proof we cared enough to recognize our mistakes. It's not a cage. It's a teacher. Marcus stood. Come on, let's go home. This grave doesn't need me here every day. They walked toward the parking lot. Behind them, Amanda's headstone stood silent. A marker of loss, but also of growth, of pain that had been transformed into purpose. Marcus had learned what Cross never could. That second chances weren't about erasing the past. They were about choosing every day to be better than you were yesterday. To let regret inform you without defining you. To carry pain without letting it carry you. The case was closed. But its lessons would stay with Marcus forever. Every future case would be informed by what he'd learned. Every victim would be seen through the lens of understanding he'd gained. Dr. Nathan Cross had tried to prove that regret was eternal and deadly. Instead, he'd proven something else entirely, that even the deepest regrets could be survived. That pain could be processed. That second chances came not from changing the past, but from accepting it and moving forward. Marcus drove home, leaving the cemetery behind. Not running from his regret, not trapped by it, just carrying it consciously, learning from it, growing because of it, and somewhere he liked to think Amanda would have approved.